If you were visiting India as a tourist and a well-dressed official offered you the opportunity to legally purchase the Taj Mahal or the Red Fort, you would likely walk away. Yet dozens of wealthy buyers didn't walk away. They handed over millions of dollars to one man who executed these sales repeatedly, providing what appeared to be ironclad government deeds for India's most guarded national treasures. His most audacious transaction involved the seat of the Indian government itself. He sold the Parliament House to a foreign group, reportedly including the sitting members of Parliament as part of the property's assets. These weren't crimes of force. He bypassed security protocols by exploiting a single human vulnerability, the assumption that if the paperwork is perfect, the person holding it must be legitimate. The architect of these schemes was Mithilesh Kumar Srivastava, better known by his alias, Natwarlal. He was not a career criminal from the streets. He was a university-educated man from a small village who held a formal degree in law. To understand his career, we have to look at the specific set of skills he cultivated and how he used a legal education to identify the exact points where the Indian state was most vulnerable to fraud. In 1912, in the village of Bangar, Natwarlal began developing a high level of observational detail. He realized early on that he possessed a rare physical talent, the ability to mimic any handwriting he saw. He tested this skill by forging a neighbor's signature to withdraw funds from a bank. It was a simple theft, but it proved that a few strokes of a pen could override the security of a financial institution. He eventually scaled this talent to target the highest office in the country. He learned to flawlessly replicate the signature of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, India's first president. This exploited a phenomenon known as authority bias. When a victim is presented with a document bearing the president's signature and an official-looking stamp, they rarely think to question the person handing it to them. Because Natwarlal held a Bachelor of Laws degree, he had an insider's understanding of how property and power are moved through the Indian bureaucracy. He used this knowledge to draft transfer of property documents. To a foreign investor, these papers looked authentic, with correct legal terminology and bureaucratic seals. His legal training also served as a defense. When he was caught, he used his knowledge of the court system to orchestrate years of delays, filing complex motions and exploiting police procedures to avoid final sentencing. He realized that a bureaucracy is defined by its paperwork. By providing the exact documents the system expected to see, he effectively became completely invisible to the eyes of the law. Natwarlal often noted that he never used a weapon. His victims chose to pay him because he convinced them they were making the deal of a lifetime. He would pose as a senior official or a trusted personal assistant to a famous politician, using these disguises to manufacture an atmosphere of high-level government access. Standing directly in front of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the president's palace, he would convince targets that they were being invited into a secret government liquidation of national assets. This is a classic example of social engineering. He didn't need to pick a lock when he could simply manipulate a target's desire for profit until they ignored their own common sense. He operated on the simple observation that even the most secure institutions depend on a human chain of trust. He found if you look and speak like you belong, most people will assume you do. The sheer volume of his crimes eventually resulted in a staggering 113-year cumulative prison sentence handed down by judges across India. This chart highlights the gap between the law's intent and the reality of Natwarlal's custody. Despite the century-long sentence, he only served 20 years, escaping from prison 9 different times. His final disappearance occurred at the age of 84. While being transported through the New Delhi railway station in a wheelchair, he tricked his guards and vanished. He was never seen by the authorities again. He remained so elusive that the date of his death is still debated. His family claims he passed away in 1996, but court records suggest he may have been alive as late as 2009. Mithilesh Kumar Srivastava possessed a true Bahumukhi Pratibha, or multifaceted genius, but he spent his life applying that intellect to the service of a lie. Had he applied his grasp of the law and human psychology to high-level advocacy or diplomacy, His name would likely be attached to landmark legislation or national policy rather than a list of warrants. Today, the monuments he claimed to sell remain exactly where they have stood for centuries. Natwarlal, however, exists only in the paperwork of the 14 states that once hunted him, a reminder of what happens when high-level capability operates without a moral anchor.